Greetings everyone, it's time for a video. In a recent tool haul from KC Tool, I showed this set off briefly. I said I was going to do a video about them, and that's what this video is about. It's this set. This is the Wiha Security Torx socket set, 1/4 inch square drive. It's a 10-piece set. Let's see, let me zoom in some so you can see some of this. The part number is 70195. Now, these are on clearance from KC Tool, and I picked them up. It may even be their last set they had on the shelf. I don't know. They don't have them there anymore, so I can't give you a link to them. And then I used the Black Friday coupon that KC Tool had to pick them up for even cheaper than what they were selling. Let's see. Of course, they have a set screw bit replacement, which we'll talk about in a minute when we pull them out. We'll take a look. They have the bits are hardened CVM tool steel, that's chrome vanadium molybdenum tool steel, which they conveniently have a little thing on there. Universal socket rail holds socket securely, great. And then the sizes included are 7, 8, T7, T8, T9, T10, T15, T20, 25, 27, 30, and 40. For me, this is the size range that I most often run into, including the 27, which a number of sets don't include. The other thing that's important about this set is it's all the same drive size. And I'm going to come back to that in a minute, but that's important just for convenience that you don't need two different ratchets or an adapter or anything. They list Wiha tools. You can't really see this, but I'll read it out to you. Manufactured with global components in USA, Germany, and Taiwan by Wiha, designed to DEN ISO standards by Wiha Germany. Wiha no hassle guarantee. I don't know how much that means, especially for something that's been discontinued, but hey, whatever. You get it in this packaging, pretty nice, straightforward. Pop it out. There you go. And there's the set itself. Nice rail. Honestly, this can slide. It's kind of got these notches. Let me zoom in a little more here, and that's about as far as I can go. And you're in focus. So they're not going to slide like others do or whatnot, but they do move if you need them to. You got a screw hole, which is kind of handy. I suspect you got two more screw holes, which you can't see too well, but there's one there and one there. So you can screw them that way too. If you want to do it fast and a little different, of course, you can just take it with you and pull it. So I mentioned the sizes, and I also wrote off that they were made in USA, Germany, and Taiwan. So my guess would be, this is just a guess, that the rail is made in the US, the sockets that hold the bits are made in Taiwan, and the bits themselves are made in Wiha by Germany. I've not pulled them open. I'm not going to find that out, because if you remember, I mentioned something about the set screw. Well, if you can tell, but they have a little set screw, so you can undo the set screw, pull the bed out if it breaks, and replace it with another one, which is actually a pretty interesting feature. I've not seen that before, but there's probably others that have this. I just haven't run across it. And that's compared to, say, here's a Wera socket that has, it's just pressed in. There's no set screw or anything. I imagine you could if you really try to get it out and push a new one in, but this just is an easier, more convenient way of doing it. All these are chrome vanadium, 1/4 inch. Basically, all these sockets are just a 1/4 inch drive socket that has a 1/4 inch, and it's measured, and then they drilled this hole and they tapped it, ran the hole in for the set screw, and that's how they hold the bits in place. Kind of interesting design, like I said. Hadn't seen this before. I'm not sure if it's good or bad. I personally think it's probably pretty good. I'm not sure if there's any reason it would be a problem to have them, but it's kind of handy that if you want to keep this and keep using this set, you can just do this, and there you go. If anybody has any thoughts about that maybe it's bad, you can put them in the comments, and so we can all read and hear your thoughts. Apart from that, the bits are all pretty nice. They're pretty high quality. Happy that they have the 27. One downside, though, to it being this way is you don't know what sizes you have. In other words, unless you know this is a 789, you're not going to know this is a 789. There's no markings on this to see, and I'm sure there are markings actually in the bits, but they're buried inside the socket, which is kind of a downside to this approach, I would think. But I guess, you could mark them or engrave them, or I don't know if you really cared. Or you can mark something on maybe the plastic itself. I don't know, though it'd probably wear off. I'm not sure how much in practice it'll end up being a problem. And you know, honestly, you can just pull this and try one to you find the size you need. Anyway, the bits themselves look really nice. I've never had any issues with Wiha bits, so other than one Phillips that kind of had a problem, but that's been a long time. And apart from that, everything looks pretty nice with this. Now, you might say, why buy these? And you know, because honestly, what you can do is, and I'll pull this Wiha bit set out. You can get, we'll pull a regular Torx. And you can go and take this, and if you got a bit ratchet, you can just pop it in. And that's fine. And in fact, this is a pretty good comparison, honestly. This is a pretty short, you know, ratchet, or shallow ratchet with a, you know, regular size bit. But you know, part of the problem with this is there's not much leverage. This is kind of more of a space issue that, you know, if you're getting into really tight quarters, if you really need to go and put more leverage on, you're not going to get it with a tiny ratchet like that. So in that case, probably what you're going to do is you're going to resort to using a bit holder. And the problem with a bit holder style is that it's long. So now, if I compare this to, say, let's see, that was about, I think, a 20, yeah, it's about that size. You can see the length is significantly shorter. This is and even on this design, which I honestly think is longer, just because of the nature of they have this socket and the set screw. Even with that, you're still gaining, it looks like, roughly ½ inch or more in terms of distance. You know, that's what you're getting, you're saving. So when you're in tight quarters, something like that really makes a difference. So, you know, you got to imagine you've got this like so, and you know, if you compare that to, say, this, you're talking about a pretty good distance, you know, that you're saving by using a socket versus an adapter. Now, of course, you can find other adapters that are shorter, but there's practical limits that you're going to get. Now, though these are shorter than that, the Wera ones, which, if you remember, I talked about this is from the Advent calendar set, I think. These are even shorter than that, and I was actually assuming I could find everything that Wera had in the 1/4 inch. I was thinking about getting these, though these are very pricey. If you buy a full set of the Wera ones, if I remember right, they're like $60 or something. I could be wrong on that, though. Don't quote me on that, and someone can probably correct me in the comments. But they're not cheap. That said, you can, again, if you're concerned about space, well, you can really see this space difference, you know, based even on this style, which is the press-in. Of course, there's downsides. You got an expense, and then, you know, you can't replace it, right? It's pressed in. I mean, you could, but it's going to be a lot harder. I mean, this is designed to have that. So in that regard, this is kind of a plus. But in practice, I don't know how often you might break a bit. But it's nice. I think, at least, it's nice that it has the feature of doing that. I suspect, though, that they could have gone and shortened the the socket some, to be able to allow them to save some space. But, you know, I don't know. I'm not them. This is just what was practical for them. And the sad thing is, they actually don't make these anymore. And I'll cover more of that in a second. That said, other comparisons with this Wera bit are that the Wera is actually, it's a little bit thicker. It's hard to show you from here. They do have the knurling, which is really nice. Of course, they have the color coding. And remember, I was telling you about the size thing. You know, you can't really say that this is the same size as that. And in fact, if you hold them up, it might actually be a little bit smaller. I'm not really going to go and compare, though, at any detailed level. But apart from that, I think these will still end up being fine. If I'm really going confined spaces, I'll probably try to go with something like this. Now, a second ago I mentioned that, you know, these are discontinued, and I also mentioned that, you know, most of the other sizes you see nowadays are in, if you get a 1/4 inch set, you're only going to run up, well, if you get a set that is primarily 1/4 inch, you're only going to run up to a certain size. My experience, or what I've seen, is like T25. They won't even have a T27, which is irritating, because T27 is actually used a little more than you would think. I've run into it enough times to where I was looking for a set that had it. And then the other thing of importance is that they'll change sizes. So Like I said, Wiha discontinued this. They replaced it with another one, and what you find is that it also has fewer sockets. I think it's 8. And then when it gets up to the last 2 or last 3, they switch to 3/8 inch drive. Well, that's very irritating. If I'm trying to get into a tight space, I want a smaller ratchet. On top of that, I don't want to have to go have 2 ratchets when maybe I have fasteners that are crossed over one and then I have to hop up to another. It's just a convenience thing. I shouldn't have to have that. Now maybe in practice it doesn't matter, but for me, I find it to be just a bad approach really to having something like that, to have that crossover in size. I mean, I'm kind of like, why even bother? Just have a 1/4 inch size and a 3/8 inch size set and then just be done with it. But I don't know, that's just what they've done. The other thing, of course, is the set that replaced this is made in Taiwan completely. And I'll have a link in the description to KC Tools page so you can see for yourself. But this, you know, as I said before when I read at the start, it's probably USA, Taiwan, Germany. So kind of irritating, I think. Kind of depressing when you're going from more, you know, made in Germany or US or whatnot to all made in Taiwan. Now, it isn't to say that Taiwanese stuff is bad. Quite the contrary. I've maintained Taiwanese tools can and often are very high quality. That said, there's still kind of a, I guess, a philosophical negative thing to me, at least, that I just don't like to see it. Anyway, that's pretty much about it for this. I don't really have much else to say about it. But all in all, I'm pretty happy I got this. I got a pretty good deal with the being on clearance and the coupon. And it is definitely cheaper than the Wera set that I was looking at. And it also has the plus of having the secure sockets, or secure Torx, which is nice. And I do run across those occasionally, more when I'm working on things like appliances, like, you know, countertop appliance that I'm going to fix. Well, that's about it. I don't really have any more to blab about on this. Thanks for watching.